everyone. My name is Foong Wan, and next to me hosting today is Gwen Yu. We want to welcome you to VATV. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's broadcasted every Wednesday at 7 o'clock. Today, the second half of the program is conducted in English. VATV is the voice of Vietnamese Americans in the greater Boston area. It is sponsored by VietAid, Vietnamese American Initiative for Development. Again, the first half of our 1 hour weekly program is in Vietnamese, and the second half is in English.
You can watch us live every Wednesday evening from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Channel 9 if you have Comcast, and Channel 15 if you have RCN. You can also go on to vntv.org to watch us live. And if you happen to miss our live television program, it will rebroadcast on Sunday at 5 p.m., Monday at 1 p.m. and Tuesday at 11 a.m.
And to watch any of our TV shows, you can go onto our main website, which is at vietaid.org. We're more than happy to answer any questions or respond to any comments that you have for us. And for today's program, we have a very important topic and a very special guest that's on our show. It's such an honor to have here with us. It's our mayor candidate for the city of Boston. Please welcome Charlotte Golar Richie. Is that right?
That's correct. You said my name perfectly, and it's wonderful to be here with you both this evening.
Thank you so much for being here with us. Can you just please share a little bit about your background for our Vietnamese audience and, of course, all the entire audience? And if time permits, I'm going to be translating a little bit of everything that you say today.
So it's a pleasure to be on the show and to talk to you a little bit about my race for mayor and what I have done, which has led me to this point. I started my career in politics and government back in 1994. When I ran for state representative of the 5th Suffolk District, which is in Dorchester and Roxbury, sections of those communities, and included part of Fields Corner. That's when I first became acquainted, by the way, with some young leaders in the community who wanted to start a community development corporation that would be that was intended to serve the Vietnamese American community. And I was there to offer some advice and to offer support as a state representative. And years later, VietAid not only has created many units of housing in the city of Boston and in Dorchester, and has services and has done all sorts of things, but now they also have a TV show. So it's really exciting. But I left after I served in the legislature where I was there. I was elected in 1994, 1996, and 1998. I was able to gain passage of major housing bond bill. Mayor Menino took notice and invited me to join his administration. And I became chief of housing for the city of Boston, director of the Department of Neighborhood Development, where I served for 8 years. And there, working as the housing director for the city, or housing chief for the city, I was able to work again, meet up with my friends at VietAid and support with financing, support housing in the community, the construction of housing. There was housing along Dodd Ave, projects, Bowdoin, Geneva area, all of these projects that VietAid was involved in, and I was able to support those projects. And also, of course, the wonderful construction of a community center on Charles Street. And then I moved on to work with Governor Patrick, and then helped him with constituent services, and I was oversaw his government affairs team. And then most recently, I've worked with young people who've dropped out of high school with a national program called Youth Build USA. And we work with young people who need some support to get back on track, to get their education.
That's quite an experience that you've been involved so much with the city, not just with Boston, but pretty much the entire New England, I shall say. So the next step, why mayor? Why are you running for mayor of Boston?
Well, I do think I have a unique set of experiences that I would be able to bring to bear as mayor. And it's in housing and economic development, support for our small businesses. But, I think it really stems from my desire to want to make the community and the city, the community that I've lived in for 26 years, which is Dorchester, but the entire city, a stronger, better place for us all. And I think I'm ready to do that. I know I can do it. And so, I've lived in the city for a long, long time, raised my family here. I love Boston. I'm wife, a homeowner. My daughter's attended Boston Public Schools. I've seen a lot, and I've contributed to a lot in the city. And I think now this is the next step, to be able to be the CEO of the city and bring all of the folks that I've worked with over the many years, bring them together to improve things in our community and in our city. I think I can do that.
Great. You mentioned, to service the public and also for a stronger and better community. What challenges do you see right now, that, if you can name? I'm sure there are many, but number one on top of the list, what would you say the number one challenge for the Boston community?
Well, I think it's a combination of things. I know people often say, what is the one thing? Mm-hmm. But it's a lot of different things. I mean, I think when it comes down to it, we need to engage our people in a variety of ways. Our young people need to get a quality education. Mm-hmm. Those who are not in school need to have jobs. Mm-hmm. We need to have safe communities where our children can play and our seniors can, go to the park and do things, go to work or whatever. And we know that they're going to be in a safe environment. So I think safety is key. I mean, we need to have safe communities. How am I going to get businesses to invest, in our communities if we have gun violence, and things like that? We need to have quality schools. How are we going to employ our young people if they don't have the skills to be able to join the workforce and be able to be people we can employ? We need housing, quality housing, right? We need safe places, like I say, and quality places where our families can thrive. So those are the things that I'll be working on as mayor.
Do you mind if I translate your words to Vietnamese?
I would be happy for you to translate.
Kính thưa quý vị, theo như những lời mà bà Richie vừa nói, thì bà Richie bắt đầu sự nghiệp chính trị của mình từ năm 1994, đến đây đã gần 20 năm rồi. Thì lúc đầu thì bà Richie làm việc chung với những người trẻ hả chị?
Dạ vâng.
Mm-hmm. And then she worked with, and then bà làm việc chung với Thomas Menino,
Dạ vâng.
thị trưởng hiện tại của chúng ta.
Dạ.
Khoảng được 8 năm thì sau đó bà tiếp tục chuyển qua làm việc chung với Governor Patrick. Thì qua từng đó năm làm việc chính trị và đóng góp để xây dựng thành phố, thì bà cảm thấy là bà đã có đủ khả năng cũng như hiểu biết để có thể tiến thêm một bước khác, đó là trở thành thị trưởng của thành phố, để có thể giúp những người từng làm việc với bà cũng như những người mà cư dân tại đây, tại thành phố mà hiện tại bà đang sinh sống, gia đình bà đang sinh sống, có thể trở thành một nơi tốt hơn, an toàn hơn cho những cái thế hệ tiếp theo. Thì
hồi nãy Phương Oanh có hỏi bà ta một câu là đối với bà thì bà nói là một cộng đồng được tốt hơn và được tươi đẹp hơn. Thì trong cái danh sách thì nếu mà được chọn một điều quan trọng nhất thì bà sẽ chọn điều gì? Thì thực sự bà nói là nó có rất là nhiều thành phần khác nhau, cái gì cũng quan trọng hết. Đối với bà thì có thể nói là từ mình nói về education, là giáo dục, cái nền tảng của giáo dục. Nếu mà con em của chúng ta có nền tảng giáo dục hay là những người trẻ có nền tảng giáo dục thì sẽ làm cái môi trường sinh sống của chúng ta được tốt hơn, được cái sự an toàn, an ninh nó cũng tốt hơn. Thì khi mà chúng ta cảm thấy an toàn, cái an ninh nó được cao thì cái đời sống nó sẽ tốt hơn cho tất cả mọi người, và cái cộng đồng được xây dựng từ bởi điều đó. Yeah.
So, how do you feel when you are the only woman in the race?
How do I feel as the only woman? Well, it's not the first time I've been the only woman, in a meeting or in a conference or sort of, things like, I won't say a conference, but in a meeting or in sort of in certain environments, okay? It has happened before. I just want to say that. It's not like it's an unfamiliar thing. And I don't know that I think about it that much until I'm asked about it. I do feel that I'm very competitive in terms of my ability to win this race, as I'm sure my counterparts, colleagues in the race are. And I think, I think I'm in a good position to win this race. But I do know that particularly for other women, young women, they see me as history making, this opportunity to be the next mayor. And so I should not lose sight of that. And I understand that's important for a lot of people to say, wow, we might actually elect the first woman, and it's in our lifetimes. So yeah, I get that. That's exciting.
It's such an inspiration for a lot of females, especially young females, who wants to do certain things but still thinking that, hey, I'm a female, I don't know. But then we have seen, a presidential candidate like Hillary Clinton, our wonderful TV host, Miss Oprah Winfrey, who are very successful. So, you're absolutely an inspiration to a lot of females that's watching the show right now, and especially to the whole city of Boston. So if we can go back a little bit,
Sure.
When you first started out your career, what makes you decided to go towards, what did you study before, and what makes you decide to go, towards your career in, government?
So honestly, I mean, I was an accidental candidate in 1994. I was not planning to enter the realm of politics when I ran. I was actually thinking that I would do the kind of work you're doing right here.
Okay.
And I had gotten my master's degree in journalism. So I had expected to pursue a career in journalism and maybe in the media. I actually worked here at BNN TV for a short time. I was the Dorchester reporter on the Neighborhood Network News. So that was, what I was thinking. I was also a part-time reporter, volunteer reporter for a local weekly news. I guess it was actually every 2 weeks it came out, the Dorchester Community News. You're probably not familiar with it because it's no longer in existence, but that's what I was doing. Then my neighbors saw me at a candidates forum where I was the moderator, and they ran up to me after and said, "Charlotte, we got to talk to you." And then one conversation led to another, and they said, "You would be a wonderful representative for our community. Won't you consider running for state rep?" And I thought long and hard about it, and I said, I do think that I have something that I could bring to the job, and I would bring people together. Similar in my thinking was similar to what it is right now, running for mayor. And I ran, and I won. People believed in me, they trusted me, and I worked really hard to live up to their expectations, which is exactly what I will do as mayor should the good voters of the city deem it, see fit to elect me.
Well, that's a great story for a lot of people out there. My next would let to we look through time with a lot of candidates, and with this race right now, what sets you apart that the audience or the public should vote for you?
All right, so that's, certainly that's a good question to ask, right? There's so many candidates. There are 12 candidates who are running to be mayor of this city. September 24th is the election. And after that election, we will see who the top 2 candidates are who will enter into the final leg of this campaign. And each of us brings sort of different skills, abilities, gifts, a perspective to this race for mayor. For me, I would say that I am, the only candidate that has run a city agency. That probably distinguishes me from the field. The agency that I ran was the Department of Neighborhood Development. It had 200 employees and a $100 million budget. What also might distinguish me is my long career in public service, having worked as a legislator, worked at the city level, and also at the federal level for this national nonprofit organization, which took me to Washington to advocate for resources for young people and for programs serving young people. Maybe another thing that would distinguish me is the fact that I served our country as a U.S. Peace Corps volunteer and lived abroad. So I know what that feels like, living in another country and working abroad and wanting to, and learning how to speak the language of communication there in a country that was not the country of my birth. There are probably a number of other things. I mean, I'm the only candidate that's been a wife and a mother.
Kính thưa quý vị, vừa nãy chị Oanh có hỏi bà Richie tại sao là mọi người, điều gì khiến bà ấy tin rằng bà ấy sẽ được nhận được những lá phiếu từ mọi người, thì bà Richie trả lời rằng chính bản thân bà cũng biết là có tới 12 người candidate khác, nhưng mà bà nghĩ là bà có những sự khác biệt khác với họ, đó chính là bà từng làm cho thành phố, cũng như là like the city, là giống như bà có cái career chính trị của bà đó, một chặng đường rất là dài. Rồi bà cũng từng có trải nghiệm sống như một người ngoại quốc ở một đất nước khác, tập nói một ngôn ngữ mới. Cho nên đó cũng là những cái trải nghiệm thú vị làm cho bà trở nên khác biệt với những ứng cử viên khác, và giống như là kinh nghiệm hơn cho bà để có thể run cái thành phố này tốt hơn.
Dạ vâng, hồi nãy thì Phương Anh cũng có, hồi nãy thì Quỳnh Như cũng có hỏi bà ta là bà có cảm giác như thế nào khi bà là một người phụ nữ duy nhất khi mà chạy trong làm candidate cho cái này gọi là nghị trưởng thành phố của City Boston. Thì đối với bà, thì đối với Phương Anh và Quỳnh Như đây là một cái sự inspiration cho rất là nhiều phụ nữ đang hiện tại xem chương trình này, vì đối với bà là một người phụ nữ duy nhất, nhưng mà vì như thế bà là một người mẹ và bà cũng là một người vợ, cho nên bà hiểu rất là rõ ràng về những cái khía cạnh khác nhau. Và bà nói sơ về cái tiểu sử của bà là khi bà bắt đầu khởi nghiệp, thì thật sự nó là một cái accident mà thôi, là bà vốn không có nghĩ là bà sẽ đi về trong cái ngành chính trị, nhưng mà có một hôm bà cũng ngồi đi làm interview cho những người khác, thì có rất là nhiều người ái mộ bà và muốn bà đóng góp ở trong thành phố, thì bà đã quyết định là bà đi theo cái con đường của chính trị, và đã kéo dài cho bà là cũng hơn 20 năm thời gian qua. Dạ. Em không biết là em có những câu hỏi kế tiếp. Yeah.
So
this will be the next big question, right?
So how do you see the Boston in future, like 10 years, 20 years, something?
Well, I envision a city that is going to be one, and I've said this in my vision for the city, is one that is even more open and embracing of different people, different neighborhoods than it is today. When I entered politics and government about 20 years ago, there were certain neighborhoods that I had to think twice about before I decided to go there to visit, to have dinner or something like that. Today, in 2013, I feel very comfortable traveling all across the city. I might go and visit, Rosendale Village. I might have dinner there. I might go to West Broadway in South Boston to meet my husband after work. I might be in, East Boston where I might have breakfast. I mean, I just feel that the city is so much open and much more accessible than it ever has been. But I still see that neighborhoods are sort of, and residents in those neighborhoods are focused on what happens there and not necessarily looking at the city as a whole in terms of embracing the city and trying to tackle issues that affect the entire city. I may be wrong there, but that's a sense that I get. And I'll kind of give you an example, although this was one that came out of the tragedy with the marathon bombings. Mm-hmm. With that tragedy, I think we did feel like one Boston, didn't we? Mm-hmm. And as sad as it was, and disturbing and tragic and frightening, and we were Boston strong. And I thought about that a lot and wondered, can't we be Boston strong about wanting to improve the quality of our schools for all of our children? Can't we be Boston strong in wanting to make sure that none of our neighborhoods are racked by violence? Can't we be Boston strong in feeling that there should not be pockets of our city where the unemployment rate might be nearing double what it is for the rest of the city? So I'm thinking that in 10 years or 20 years, as you are stating, that we could have a city that is really strong in its conviction to ensure that there are no bad neighborhoods or bad schools, mm-hmm. places where you sort of say that's where the poor people live, where we really are tackling things like poverty mm-hmm. and homelessness and gun violence. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm thinking.
Oh, that's great. Unfortunately, we're running out of time. It's such an honor and privilege to be talking to you today, and inspiration, especially for us women sitting here right now. With any last few words that you would like to share with your audience at all?
Well, I would say that this is an important election, and that everyone who has the ability to vote should get out there and vote, should not sit on the sidelines, no matter who your candidate is. You know, clearly I would love to have your consideration. I'd love to have your vote on September 24th. I've worked long and hard for this city, and I will work hard as your next mayor, trying to build on the success of the past administration, take us to the next level, which means quality schools, which means jobs and the innovation economy and connecting our residents to those jobs, which means quality, affordable housing for our residents, and so much more. So I'm Charlotte Golar Richie. If you want to find out more about me, please go to my website, charlottefrommayor.com. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Pleasure to have
Thank
you
you,
here.
Rachel.
A pleasure for me.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for tuning in with us today at VATV. Again, if you have any questions at all or comments or would like to reach us, please reach out to VATV@v8.org. And if you would like to see any of our previous shows, you can go to www.bnntv.org. Send us an email or call us at 617-822-3717. Again, this is Phương Oanh and Quỳnh Như. Thank you so much for watching us today on VATV.